Hi, my name is Carol, and the name of my channel is Broke But Bountifully Blessed. 3 weeks ago, I gave up sugar, and I decided to give you an update. My plan was to give up sugar for 75 days. Well, I made it 2 weeks pretty good anyway. And I wanted to share an update on how it's going. But for the first 2 weeks, things went really well. I was careful not to eat anything with sugar in it, and I didn't eat anything with high fructose corn syrup in it. And what happened is I was having fewer cravings for salty snacks or sweet treats. So I was eating a lot less. I really wish I had weighed myself ahead of time because I'm pretty sure I may have lost a few pounds. When I did crave sugar or sweets, I would grab a piece of frozen fruit from the freezer and suck on it or chew on it. And that was usually happening when it was around mealtime and I was about fixing a meal anyway. By the time I ate that, the cravings went away. Another thing that happened was my need for bladder protection was greatly reduced, and it was pretty much nil. I realized that my problem wasn't so much trying to control my bladder. Sugar does something to your body to make you have to urinate more. And the biggest problem is after I've been sleeping for a few hours and I wake up and my bladder is full. But I'm actually not having much trouble, and I'm actually increasing the water that I've been drinking. So I had a little bit of ketchup left in the refrigerator that had high fructose corn syrup in it. And so I avoided eating anything with that I would use ketchup on for a while. And my plan was to make some from scratch with tomato sauce that didn't contain sugar. Now, it would have been a good thing to read the label on the spaghetti sauce that I used because it did have high fructose corn syrup and the sugars were pretty high in it. But with ketchup, you don't use a whole serving all at once. You just have a little spritz here and there. Oh, so one day I was working on a project and I got hungry and I didn't want to stop working on the project and fix something to eat. So I grabbed some raisins out of the cupboard and I made the mistake of setting them near me while I was working on the project. So I kept reaching in that bag and snacking on a little more and a little more. And by the time it was time to make my meal, I had eaten at least a cup, possibly a cup and a half. There's a quarter cup to a serving, which means I had 4 to 6 servings of those raisins in one sitting. And I had checked the label. I had checked the label, and the bag didn't contain anything but the raisins. So I figured I was good, but I was up a lot during the night, and I was really glad that I didn't stop using bladder protection because things had been so good for so long. But it sure wasn't that night. It's kind of embarrassing to talk about, but this is a channel for older people, and that's one of the things that happens. And I wanted to let people know that sugar is a problem for some people, and if they are leaking, they maybe want to try giving up sugar. Just don't give up drinking water. Your body really needs the water. Your body doesn't need the sugar. Your brain might, but anyway. So yeah, there was so I had 4 to 6 servings of those raisins, and when I looked it up, that was actually at least a teaspoon of sugar. So that's way much more than, well, for somebody who's trying not to eat any sugar, I can understand why I leaked. And after that, I was good for a couple of days. And then I made some refrigerator pickles that contained sugar, a half a cup of sugar in a quart. And you still have the brine left, so I don't know how much actually soaks into the pickle. And it's not like I sit and eat a whole jar of pickles at once. I would have a slice here and there, not even usually with a meal, but all by itself. When I'd craving a snack, I'd open the refrigerator and I'd have a slice of those pickles, which was not such a good idea. So I had that sugar in me, and I haven't really, I didn't have any leaking problems at that point. But I went to the food bank then, and last Wednesday, and one of the things they gave me was a two pack of Danish. And another thing that they gave me was a package of 4 brownies, chocolate brownies with frosting on them. And they were so moist. And I should have given them to somebody else, let somebody else have that problem. But I took them home and I ate them. And I regretted it. So I'm back to giving up my sugar for 75 days. Today's day 1. I'm starting over. And when my 75 days are up, I'm not going to go back to cane sugar. I'm going to keep it for feeding the hummingbirds, but I'm not going to eat it myself. I'm going to sweeten foods with honey or pure maple syrup. I might even try some monk fruit, but we'll see. I can't use those artificial sweeteners. I've had a problem in the past. It's called supraventricular tachycardia. And what happens is my heartbeat gets really fast and I have to go to the hospital. At one time it was as high as 250 when I was admitted. Well, they don't admit me. They actually do something. Well, actually what they do is they stop my heart. Yeah, they stop my heart. It stops totally. And everything stops. And it's kind of a scary thing because the hospital personnel is standing over me with those paddles in their hand, and they're ready to shock me back if my heart doesn't start over all by itself. And luckily, every time I've gone, and it's probably been 4 or 5 times that they've done that I've had to go in. Most of the time I don't. They tell me if it happens and it starts going for more than 15 minutes, I'm supposed to call an ambulance. I'm not supposed to be driving to the hospital. But I've driven most of the times that I've gone. One time, I did call an ambulance. Now I'll make that 2 times. I did once, it stopped. Went back into normal sinus rhythm while I was on my way to the hospital, and they didn't have to do anything. So it's just enough to keep me away from using artificial sweeteners. They do have a procedure called an ablation that they can do, and what they do is they do similar to a catheterization, but while they're in there, they burn away some extra cells to keep your heart from firing on its own. It's kind of like having an electrical short in your heart, is what I was told. But I really prefer not to do that. You're not awake when they do it, and because they have to communicate with you, and so you do get sedated somewhat, but you're awake. I'd really rather not do that. And they do have a pill that I can take, and I'm on the pill, but since I gave up artificial sweeteners, I don't really even need that. So my doctor reduced the amount that I take. The pills are about half of what they used to be. So anyway, I'm not going to have artificial sweeteners, and I do have to cut back on my sugar. So I did get these apple sauces today, and they don't have sugar added, but the sugars are fairly high on these. I should probably take them back, but I'm going to do a little bit of a taste test. I'm not going to eat the whole package. My dog might finish it off for me. And that's how things are going. I'm starting over. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment.